Hi everyone, this is Khristee Rich and we're back for Khristee's Take. So as always, you can watch this video or you can go back to the previous video. It was with Dr. Amanda Shipley and watch that first and then come back. But in any case, today's topic is preparing the pelvic floor for birth. So, Dr. Amanda Shipley was talking about this. She is a pelvic floor physical therapist. And so we had a great conversation. So, as you know, I am writing a three-book series about childbirth through a holistic perspective. And so, in book one, I am emphasizing the importance of preconception health, the importance of becoming as healthy as possible before you conceive. Okay, so anytime before you conceive, and also to have the awareness before you conceive about the pregnancy journey so that you can prepare and take action. So I love this conversation with Amanda, and she was in alignment with me saying that yes, you need to prepare before you give birth. And her specialty is all about the pelvic floor. So it was very interesting to hear her talk about getting in touch with your pelvis, getting in touch with the pelvic floor, and learning how to relax, and also learning how to engage your muscles for birth. So I think this is something that a lot of people do not think about. A lot of people assume that women can give birth, so you don't need to prepare. You don't need to do anything. It'll just happen. Just make sure you hire a midwife, make sure you hire an OBGYN, whoever you want to be there to assist you, and that's all you need. But that's not the case. And as Amanda said, and I agree, you need to prepare. So let's talk about some things in a little bit more detail. One issue that we brought up that I love is talking about the mind-body connection. So it is true that you are more than a physical body. You are your mind. You are also a spiritual being. And so sometimes our emotions are stuck in our body. And sometimes that affects what happens. So I also like to bring awareness of trauma. So all of us have experienced trauma in our lives. Trauma gets stored in the body. If we do not heal the trauma, it will stay in the body and the body remembers. So this is something I like to emphasize with everyone is before you conceive, work on healing your trauma. Okay, you may have had big T trauma. You may have had a sexual trauma. If you have had a sexual trauma, definitely work with a professional, work with a somatic practitioner, work with a trauma therapist. There's many different people out there to help you. So it's very important because if you do not heal your trauma and then you become pregnant and then you go through birth, this may trigger you. This may trigger something that happened in your past, or you may feel closed or too tight in that area, right? And as Amanda said, the importance is to relax during birth. If you can relax as much as possible, that's going to open everything up. But if you are fearful, if you're tight, if you're holding to try to control, then that's going to make it a lot more difficult. Then it's going to need more time or more interventions and can cause more trauma. So it's very important, one, that you heal your trauma, two, that you learn to relax, and three, you learn how to engage that part of your body. So a lot of us are cut off from that part of our body. Some of us grew up believing that we shouldn't talk about our reproductive organs. We shouldn't talk about sex. We shouldn't talk about certain things that happen to us or even health conditions. So that is something. That is something that needs to be addressed. So there's a lot of issues that I just brought up, but take it step by step. Okay. You know your health history, you know your past and what you have experienced. So take an inventory. Check in with yourself. Do you need to heal some trauma? Is there some trauma that's unresolved that you haven't addressed? And address that before you become pregnant, if possible. Okay, so if you are pregnant and something happens during pregnancy, then deal with it at that time. Try to address it as soon as possible. The earlier you address the trauma, the easier it is to resolve. and then it won't escalate and cause other issues. Sometimes trauma can create health issues. So this is also something that you want to focus on is if you have any chronic health conditions before, you should try to heal those before you try to conceive. And this may be overwhelming for some people. They may have a lot of chronic conditions. They may have a lot of trauma. A lot may have happened, and they may not have known who to go to. May not have known about holistic health and wellness or different holistic practitioners to get to the root cause and to help them. So try not to beat yourself up. Try to be gentle with yourself and the process. You have found Holistic Me TV, so now you are aware of holistic alternatives. There are lots of guests that I have interviewed, so you can reach out and learn more about them. You can reach out and work with me as well. I'm also a healer. I'm also a holistic practitioner. I have researched for, gosh, I think over 20 years now. It's been a long time, and I've worked with clients for over 20 years. So just know that you have a lot of support here and start from where you are. We can only start from where we are right now. And if you have given birth, then still it's important to heal before going into the next birth experience. Okay, and you may say again, well, I didn't know all this that was going to happen during the birth experience. The birth experience itself was traumatic. I need to heal from that birth experience. Okay, so it can even be from another birth that you need to heal from before the next one. And that's okay. That's okay that that is the issue you need to heal, but make sure you get some professional help for it. Try not to say, okay, I'm just going to do some mantras and affirmations and think positively and hire the right team, and that will be enough. Okay, the mind-body connection, the body remembers, so it's important that you get the healing. So again, you can relax during the birth experience so that you can naturally open up. And I did give an example. I read Ina May Gaskin's Spiritual Midwifery, which is one of my favorite books on childbirth, and actually one of the first books that I read as part of my research for my 3-book series. And she shared in Spiritual Midwifery that there were a few women who had longer births. So in Spiritual Midwifery, Ina May Gaskin is the main midwife, and she shares all these personal, intimate stories from mothers giving birth. And it's wonderful. So definitely check it out and read it if you have not. But there were some that were longer. Most of them happened pretty quickly. Most of them were talking about the intense sensations and the grooviness, but it wasn't a traumatic, horrible experience. But there were a couple that had longer experiences, and she sat down with them and she said, okay, what are you afraid of? So she was aware from her experience being a midwife that sometimes just women having fear of becoming a mother or something happening during the birth experience holds them back from being able to give birth. So once she asked the woman, what are you afraid of? And the woman expressed it in that moment during birth, during labor, then she was able to open up and then she had the baby. So that just shows you, even up until the point of birth, if you're holding back, if you're holding some fears, that's going to be affecting the birth. That's how powerful the mind-body connection is. But you can heal that. You can come to a healer such as myself. We can work on whatever your intention is, and we can heal your health, we can heal your trauma, and we can also relax your nervous system to help with your birth experience. So, what else should we talk about? So, also, Amanda talked about different conditions that need to be healed before you give birth. So she talked about prolapse, pelvic prolapse. And this is something, again, that a lot of women do not talk about. It's kind of another taboo subject. Women don't like to share that they're having challenges with, and it is common. So this can happen after a birth experience. This can happen such as if a woman had an epidural and she couldn't feel to push and she was pushing and she pushed too hard, too much, and then she develops prolapse later and then needs to heal from that. So a lot of women do go to pelvic floor physical therapists after a birth, and then they develop some conditions such as prolapse or something else. But Amanda was really talking about let's start this early. Come to me as soon as possible once you become pregnant, and then we can help you so that you don't have these birth complications, so that you have a smoother birth, possibly a shorter birth, a more empowered birth, and then you don't have to heal afterwards. So, like I was talking about before, get it as soon as possible. If you have a chronic condition, if you have prolapse, heal that first before continuing with the pregnancy. Don't just say, oh, I just hope it will be okay now because it's been okay. I've dealt with it since after giving birth. It can become worse through another birth experience. So, work with someone like Amanda, a pelvic floor physical therapist. You may need to work with someone locally in your area. Again, she has her program, but sometimes, as she said, you need someone to actually have hands on to help you. And that's very important. So she also talked again about how it's all connected. And some people think, okay, here's the pelvic floor, and here's the uterus, and here's the colon, and here's the bladder. But they're so close together and they can influence one another. So if you have an issue, and she talked about constipation or hemorrhoids, if you have that, then that can, affect the bladder too. You can have problems going to the bathroom. You can have problems with your uterus. So again, once you know that you have an issue, and especially if you're already pregnant, address it as soon as possible. If you have constipation or hemorrhoids before you are pregnant, then still address it as soon as possible so that it doesn't continue into your pregnancy. Okay, again, it's all connected, so you don't want it to escalate. You don't want it to become a mountain of problems that started with just one. As soon as you have one, then go to a professional and they will help you so that you can resolve it naturally. All right, so this is very important. Again, go and work on this as soon as possible, as early as possible. It's never too early to do the things that I'm discussing today. So, also, I want to say that a lot of women are not in touch with their body, right? So, we talked a little bit about taboo subjects and women not liking to talk about certain things or not being allowed to, per se, by society, and they just may feel cut off from their lower region. So, again, it's about reconnecting to what's going on down there. And can you feel your muscles? Can you contract? Can you lift up? Okay, so Amanda again can help you to really connect with your body so that when you're giving birth, you can say, okay, that's pushing it right there. That's what I'm doing right now. I am really engaging my muscles. I am pushing. I am relaxing, and to feel the slight differences. Okay. So what else? Yeah, I just want to emphasize that I like to say that the more knowledge you have, the more awareness you have before you conceive, the better. And it's not just about your health, but it's also about learning everything about what can happen along the pregnancy journey, what can happen in pregnancy, what can happen in labor, what can happen postpartum. And the more you know, the more you can feel empowered because then you can take actions to improve certain circumstances. Okay, so what else can we improve through knowing it beforehand? Well, Amanda talked about home births. So again, there is this idea that if you decide to have a home birth, that you just have a home birth. Again, you pick out if you're going to have a midwife, you pick out if you're going to have a doula, you pick out uh, that it's going to be a home and you're going to have it in a water birth. But there's a lot to think about. There's a lot to prepare. There's a lot to prepare, such as do you have all the objects? But there's also a lot to prepare for the birth. So this is something that Amanda talks about in her course. This is also something I talk about when I help women to understand about childbirth, giving them more education. So learning as much about home births as possible before you go through the experience is important. Okay? It's not just saying, okay, I'm just going to do it. I don't want to do the hospital birth, but knowing everything and knowing that you may need to have a plan B, that you may need to say, okay, if it goes really too long, or if there is an issue, if I'm hemorrhaging afterwards, or if I don't want to put any images into your head, but if something goes unplanned, then would I consider going to the hospital for some assistance? And I think it's a good idea to have a plan B. That doesn't mean that you'll need to. That doesn't mean that it's going to happen because you say, okay, I'm going to have a plan B that, okay, everything else goes out the window. But it's important to be prepared. And like I said in the interview, I did interview some women whose midwife did not want to take them to the hospital, or they'd heard stories of other mothers who said that their midwife would not do transfers. So it's like they either decided to have a hospital birth or a home birth, but there was no in between if something happened. And this can be a little scary. This can potentially put a woman into danger if the midwife is not going to do whatever she needs to do in case of an emergency. Okay, so definitely interview your midwives, interview your doulas, interview your OBGYN, make sure they have the same belief system that you do, and make sure you have an understanding of what it's like to work with them. Okay, very good. So, in addition to working with a pelvic physical therapist, and I do think it's a good idea, you can work with many other holistic practitioners. So I mentioned myself as a healer. Of course, you can come work with me. I do virtual sessions, so it doesn't matter. You can be anywhere in the world. It's just as powerful to do it virtually because I send the universal life force energy. And I also do take in your health history. So I do work differently than other healers. I am a holistic healer, so that means it is important to know your health history in order to get to the root cause of your chronic health conditions. Okay. And I am also clairvoyant, so I can see into your body if you have inflammation, if you have fears. Different imagery may come through to inspire you. And perhaps you need some inspiration, especially if you're going through fears. If you are still overcoming a trauma. Maybe you need to see it from a different perspective instead of just going through talk therapy and talking about it again and again. You may want to be removed from it. So I love energy work. I love being a healer because it's especially powerful for trauma, and there is no touch with the type that I do. So if you have had trauma, sometimes you don't want to work with a body worker, even though they could be so beneficial, right? Okay, there's so many people that are so helpful, but if you've had a trauma, you need to realize, okay, that's going to trigger me. That's going to set me off. I don't like anybody touching me there. Okay, so you need to know. So with the energy work that I do, you can receive powerful healing. You can work on chronic conditions. You can work on feeling more relaxed, more inspired. Again, it can relax your nervous system. And again, relaxing is one of the main keys to birth that a lot of people are not talking about. That's how you can have a better birth. The more you can completely relax and surrender during birth, the better experience you will have. But there's other people as well who can help you. So I want you to also consider cranial sacral practitioners. They are very beneficial and different from pelvic floor physical therapists. They can still help with the pelvis if you're out of alignment. They could help you with the prolapse. They could help you with constipation. They could help you with a neck issue, other parts of the body as well. Yes, they will need to put their hands on you. So again, if that's a trauma, a healer would be better. But I'm also letting you know that there are options. So some people may be a little scared because pelvic floor physical therapists may work internally. Cranial sacral therapist would not work internally. Okay, so there are options for you as well. So let me know if you have any questions with what I have discussed today. I would love to hear from you. So go ahead and type your questions or comments below. Give this video a thumbs up if you learned something new, if you found value in it, and if you have liked these sessions of Khristee's Take to hear a little bit more about these subjects. So what else? I have healing sessions right now that are single sessions are back. They are available. So reach out to me if you would like to schedule. I will be setting up healing packages this summer, so that's coming up very soon. So stay tuned. I will drop the link below so you can just click on it and schedule a healing session or a package. And I would love to work with you. And again, this can be for anything and everything. Right now, I have unniched, so I'm not just working on helping women along the perinatal journey anymore. I'm also working with anyone who would like help with their health and wellness, any chronic health conditions, chronic illnesses, stress, of course, fertility, I'm still helping women with. Um, your purpose, finding your purpose, healing from a toxic relationship, etc. So reach out to me if you would like to work together. I would love to support you and your needs. And what else? I will be having some new programs coming out later in the fall, so definitely check back and see when those are coming up. Some very exciting programs. I can't say too much yet, but there will be a collaboration involved, and it is going to be super, super good. So, other news is that I'm going to be taking a little break from Holistic Me TV. We've had 7 guest episodes as well as Khristee's Take solo episodes, and so we're going to take a little bit of a break for the summer, but then we'll be back with more guest episodes, new topics, and more Khristee's Take. So if you haven't seen all the videos, go ahead and go back, watch the replays. You can click on the link. The link will show you all of Holistic Me TV Season 2, so then you can easily go back to the ones that you missed. And of course, you can always go back to Season 1, go to the playlist for Season 1, which is more general about holistic health and wellness, women's health, and holistic healing. Okay, and last but not least, don't forget to subscribe. I love to have subscribers, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you'll be notified when Holistic Me TV launches again. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed this video. Feel free to share. Again, I would love a like, I would love a comment. Any questions, I will circle back. And until next time, have a great day. And don't forget, healing sessions are back, so reach out. Have a great day. Bye for now.